dam is low and the grass is long. Color on their roof is wrong. Dirt beside the shed is gone. It still feels like home.
Hi, I'm Nellie from Woodvale, Victoria, Australia, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about pinning and butting, and the things that we remember today. The things that I want you to remember today are: align your fabric, always take time to make sure that all your corners match, all your side seams, your side cuts all match. Make sure you always align your fabric and only use straight pins. What actually is pinning and butting? Pinning is being able to put the layers together, secure them with pins so that they remain still and straight. This way it leaves you free to be able to concentrate on controlling the sewing machine and the feed properly. That gives you a chance to match all your 1/4 inch seam with the markings on your sewing machine. I honestly recommend that we use these yellow top pins. These yellow pins, I bought these ones, available at Spotlight and Lincraft. They come in a little blue container, always the same, little blue container, little clear lid. And I think it's that makes these ones the best choice for quilting, is that it's the gauge of the wire or the gauge of the metal that's being used to make these pins is actually helps the sewing machine to jump. Because the way I'm going to show you how to pin these ones today is that if you hold these pins are really straight, you pin straight across the fabric, your sewing machine has a mechanism in it that it will actually jump pins. Sure, maybe 1 out of every 100 or something, it may not jump it, but I reckon it doesn't jump it correctly because the pin may be slightly bent and you didn't really notice it. A good way to test that your pins are straight is to actually roll them through your fingers. And as you're rolling them through your fingers, you'll see that that one is actually crooked. Can you see that? You can't really notice it with your naked eye, but when you start to roll it with your fingers, you'll notice that it's got a bend in it. Those ones be discarded. But one that you get that's straight, you'll see that it actually rolls straight in your fingers. It doesn't actually have any bends or anything in it. So they're the ones that we need to use. So here we go. I've got some samples here where we're going to learn. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out, this is just a pretend block that we're making. Okay, maybe this is a Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder's in the QBSA, which stands for Quilt Block Swap Australia, the beginners group. They have a block called Jacob's Ladder which has a fall patch like that in one of their pieces. So we're going to put the pins straight in. So what you're going to do is you're going to line the corners like that, and we're going to put the pins straight in, straight across the fabric like that, and push them up. I'm going to go up to this other end here, and we're going to put the pins in, and we're going to pin them straight up like that. That way then, we can go across here to the middle bit if you're a little beginner and you're a bit concerned that that may not actually hold because the dog feed may move it. Put a pin in that and put it straight across. Now take it to your sewing machine and sew straight. Okay, so we've come over to the sewing machine before I showed you how I put the pins in there and we've got them down. Now we're just going to gently sew along there, and you'll notice that the sewing machine will jump the pins. Just go nice and slow. Okay, so we've just sewn that seam there, across there with the pins in it. Now I'm going to do another one, just so you can watch again. Again, take your pins, align one corner, put your pin in straight, bring it across to the edge, make sure it's really perfectly as straight as you can get it. Take another pin, up the other corner, pin it straight across like that. Go to the middle bit where the dog feed might come across and might interfere with it, and pull it back and make it a little bit untidy. Pin it straight so that'll keep it there. I'll move the pins up again so that you can see that the sewing machine is actually going to jump them. Line it up with the side of your foot and the black marker that we made when we talked about 1/4 inch seams. Off we go again. Just nice and slow. Now we're going to start the phase where we go to butting. And butting is when we put the two seams are brought together so that they can be oversewn. But when we go to butt, we want the join of both pieces of fabric to be nestled right in together so that all four bits of the fabric come together to the one point. So we're going to have to press this, and we're going to have to set these fabrics. So what we're going to have to do is, obviously, one is going to have to go out and one is going to go in. When I've got blocks like this where I've got a congested area with bits and pieces like that, if you have a look at it, you can see that that one's going to sit really nicely going out, so therefore this one can come in. So we're going to press this side in and we're going to press this one out. So now we take them to our ironing board and we set our seams. Remembering this one seems to look better if it's going to go out, so we're going to set this one out. So we're going to go again. Remember, and then you turn it over. Making sure that there's no gutter. No gutter in those areas there, and that everything's... And this one here, again, we're going to set the seams. We're going to set them in. And set them in. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to make sure that there's no gutter between those ones. The gutter is when there's sort of like a gap, because if there's a gap, we're going to find it very difficult to line these seams back up. And we take them back to our pinning board, our cutting mat, and we get them together again. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be bringing them up as close as we can together, right in there. You'll be able to feel it with your fingers. You'll be able to feel that there's the ridge from that seam going that way and the ridge from this other seam pointing to the left. So we're going to bring them back up together. I'm going to put them right in so that they can sit in there as tightly as we can get them in. And while you're moving your fingers around, you can actually feel that that is straight and that is together. And we pin right through that. We go up to the other end. We'll do exactly the same again, making sure that we have the four seams together, bringing them up as close as we can together and pinning them together. Again, using your pins, using your technique that I showed you before, we use pins straight across. We then go to the middle. We bring it up, make sure that it's right up to the edge of that other piece of fabric, that other strip that we've made. And then we go to the end. We pin it again. This allows us now to just concentrate on feeding the fabric through. And this machine, as I've showed you before, it will jump the pins. Don't use the pins that have got the pretty flowers or the cupcakes or all of them on top. I find that having used those, because they were gifted to me once, it actually broke my needles and broke my machine. So don't use those ones. Only use the ones with the yellow head. I know that they do jump. Okay, so we're back at our sewing machine. Now very gently does it. Let's go. And again, we'll just jump over them pins. I always slow down when I get to the pins, just to be careful. And there we go. Now, remove your pins. And you should have your seams all nicely set right into the corners, right into each other, like that, ready for pressing again. And that's called butting. This is practice, 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 because it's feeling. You're feeling the seams, you're feeling how they're sitting together, you're feeling that they're butting up against each other or sitting right next to each other, right in that drawing, right in that groove. And it's definitely something that takes practice, and it's just practice, practice, practice that will get those right into there where all four fabrics come together and make one particular point. And there we have it, nicely pressed, nicely showing you that the four seams and four pieces of fabric have all come together at the one point there, and that's called butting or nesting, and it's achieved by pinning and taking your time. Practice, practice, practice. A more advanced technique is to get two of these half square triangles butted together. There are some blocks that require these to happen. Broken sugar bowl is one that comes to mind. That requires this to happen. So what you've got to do again is obviously one to the dark, one to the light, iron them up, get them going. And again, it's just feeling. It's feeling the fabric and feeling that the gutter, which is there, that is there, with the fabric going over, coming together. So by putting them together, you can actually feel it. Now this is going to take a practice, and this is going to take time for you to actually get the hang of feeling them together. But what you're looking for is, again, these to be perfect like that, going through there where they're going to end. Again, pin straight across. And down here, come to the end again. Pin straight across. And go to your sewing machine again and sew straight down. So again, put your piece of fabric under there, line up the foot, side foot of your 1/4 inch foot of your sewing machine and the texture mark that we made before. And then just slowly start again. Over the pins. Straight down. And this way here we should have them coming together with a perfect 1/4 inch seam at the end there. Cut your threads off. You should have them together. And that again is practice, and there you go. There's your seam. And you've got them again, or you've got all 4 pieces of fabric coming together with a perfect point. Now this one is practice, because you do need to feel that that ridge there matches this ridge here and sits inside and sits right up against each other, and that way there you'll get the perfect point. Thank you so much for coming into my sewing room today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.